Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Floyd Bradley, CEO and founder of TradePilot AI. I appreciate your attendance today for this webinar. I'm going to present this PowerPoint and will prefer to take questions at the end. I'm not very good at multitasking. I'll be the first to admit. So you can put in a chat question and I'll take a look at it at the end. Thomas already went over the risk disclosure concepts, and I've got my own 2 slides on that, but will not spend time reading every word. You can browse this quickly. We have 2 pages of disclaimers, similar to what Thomas was disclosing. So let's move on. We have services and products at TradePilot. Today's presentation is going to concentrate on products, but just to quickly go through the services. Sunday Education is a program I started a year and a half ago, where every few Sundays for an hour, I would present an academic-oriented discussion about futures or options or even stock trading. I haven't continued that for a while, but I have a back library which is available at a small price if you're interested. The Futures Trading Club is a weekday trade room, and it's quite different than most trade rooms. And I'm going to talk about it at the end of the session, give you more detail about that, including a link. The Bot Optimization Lab is a small group within our organization that does back testing and walk forward testing using playback, market replay, live simulation, etc., to find better settings for parameters month to month. And finally, I offer private consultation for people who want one-on-one, as well as our programmers can also help with settings. So let's move on to products. We have 9 strategies and 1 indicator, a few indicators in beta. But these are the 9 strategies, and I'm going to talk about these, focus on these today. This is our bread and butter. Trendbot was our first one. And then in chronological order, pretty much we have Scalar Bot, Bouncer Bot, Reversal Bot, Auction Bot, Breakout Bot, Squeeze Bot, ATM Bot, and Reversion Bot. And the one-liner for each of them is there, but I'm going to go into more detail on each of them and show you some examples of what the screens look like, and even do a couple of live demos quickly and show you the bots in action. But that is our portfolio. And we have obviously customers who only use 1 bot, and we have customers who use 2, some who use 3, and many who use 4 or 5. One of the benefits of getting your automated strategies from 1 vendor is, at least in our case, we've designed our bots to have common functionality, similar features, very much a similar look and feel. So I wanted to go through this quickly. Advantage, if I talk about the advantage ahead of time, is once you've used one of our automated strategies, it's very easy to pick up the second one. And by the time you go to the 3rd one, you never even to look at a manual. You'll be right coasting along. But what do we have in common across these 9 strategies? We have time filters, as you might expect. Some vendors offer 1, some offer 2, some offer 4. I think one of the few, if not the only vendor that has 6 different time filters you can set. And 4 of them are in minutes, and 2 of them actually in minutes or seconds. And why do we add seconds? Well, in case you want to trade at 4-star news, let's say non-farmers payroll, instead of starting it at 8:30, you want to start it at 8:30 and 10 seconds. So you want to start it at 8:29 and 40 seconds. You can do that with 2 of the time filters. And the time filters do not have to be in chronological order. You might typically have 9:30 to 11 Eastern, and then 2 to 4 Eastern, and then maybe the Asia opens 6 to 7:30, maybe the European Open, midnight till 1:30. Sorry, I'm thinking of California time. But whatever, since I'm in California. But anyway, you can basically set them up any way you want, and they'll go chronologically depending, regardless of how you set them up. Money management. We have very extensive money management capability here. As you might expect, there's an account daily goal. So let's say your daily goal for the day is $3,000, and once you hit that bogey, you don't want to keep trading. You want to just bank it and walk away. It will do that automatically, even when you're not watching. But likewise, on the downside, maybe you don't want to lose more than 2,000. So that's your max loss. You put that in. Other than slippage, that is your max loss. But more than account daily goal and account max loss, we have at a lower level, we have what we call strategy daily goal. You can think of this as your chart goal or your chart loss maximum. Basically, you could have 3 or 4 bots in one account, but if one of those bots is not doing well, and you set the max loss for, let's say, $500, that bot will stop, and the others will continue trading. And so you don't close your whole account just because one of the 3 or 4 bots is not working well, and you can still reach your daily goal. So that's a useful function to have. Again, one level further down, you have the trade target, trade loss. So let's say you enter with 3 contracts. When those 3 contracts are over, that was like your trade profitability. So not your daily profitability, but not your strategy, but your trade. So the trade you could say the trade, I don't want to lose more than 250 on the trade, or I don't want to, once I hit 800 on the profit on the trade, I want to get out. So you can do that, but the strategy will keep going, the account will keep going, just a narrow range of protection. And of course, you always have the contract profit target and stop loss. Overriding all these, we have the optional trade profit protection capability, where you can say, if my account, maybe my account goal is 2,000 for the day, but if it reaches 1,000 and then slips more than 20%, get out. Or if it slips more than $100, get out. And that's a nice thing, because sometimes you can't watch all your bots. Maybe you don't want to be watching them all. And you don't want to lose a profit that's attractive. Even if you haven't reached your daily goal, you may want to get out while the getting out is good. And then targets and stops, they all have targets and stops in ticks or dollars. And in some cases, we also offer average true range. And all of them have trailing stops as an option, break even. And in some cases, we also offer ATMs. So you can have your own personal favorite ATM managing your trailing stops, for example. Additional common functionality and look and feel. Each bot gives you 2 choices for start behavior. Give you 3 choices for direction, long only, short only, or both directions. They all have very similar on-screen information, which I'm going to show you in a minute on the next slide. Additional information, the current profit and loss, the last trade P&L, the cumulative P&L for the day, display of the account daily goal, max loss, strategy daily goal, max loss. Also, you can see that which time filters are currently on. We have optional indicators. We have our own VWAP, which comes with all the products. We have a trend color background where we can change the colors of the background according to how you want to set the colors, but according to the moving averages. Squeeze and momentum indicator. And so most of these are also optional filters, moving average filters, VWAP filters, higher time frame, squeeze, ADX, and a few others. Not necessarily on all the bots, but where they are more appropriate. And then we've made extensive use of the chart trader to be able to toggle the money management buttons on or off, to be able to toggle time filter on or off, trailing stop on or off. There's a pause button, a flatten button, etc. We also have occasionally additional buttons for very bot-specific functionality. And then they all come with a 20-page user manual. Not to scare you, but most people don't use that. But some people who are new to NinjaTrader or new to automated strategies find it useful to get started with the manual. but I can promise you, if you've used one of our bots, you probably don't need to read the manual for each of them. So what is the information panel that I just talked about? If you look on this example of a reversal bot screen, you'll see four boxes in the four corners, green boxes. Upper left, the account daily goal is displayed, the account max loss is displayed, just to remind you what your limits are. If you have a strategy goal and a strategy max loss, they would also be displayed. If you have a high watermark and maximum drawdown, they would be displayed. Lower left, we have today's cumulative P&L for the account and for the strategy, both in gross and net of commissions. Upper right is the last trade, which is very useful, I find. Again, gross and net, the last trade, what happened, and then the lower right, we have the current trade P&L, gross and net. These can be optionally turned on or off. You could turn off one of them, keep the other three on. You could have none of them on or all of them. I typically keep all of them on. You can also, if the current P&L is negative, it'll be red, and if it's positive, it'll be green. Same for the cumulative daily goal, etc. If you don't want to use the colors, you can turn that off. You want to use your own colors, etc. So they all have a similar. This is a reversal bot. If I quickly show you the scalar bot, the four boxes again in the corners. The trend bot, four boxes in the corner. So once you get used to that and configure it the way you like it, it's quite useful to know where to look quickly for information. So what are the different characteristics of our 9 strategies and why does it matter? Well, for those of you who are sophisticated in strategies and automated strategies, this may be routine for you, and I'm sorry, but for those of you who are new, or never used automated strategies, it's useful to recognize that market conditions can be different. Sometimes the market is going up, sometimes it's going down, sometimes it's going sideways. If it's going up or going down, it's normally trending, in which case a trending strategy such as trend bot or bouncer bot or ATM bot is your best bot to be using. If it's going sideways, your best bot to use is probably the scalar bot and the auction bot. And this is why my point's going to be continuing throughout this presentation, that it's useful to have more than one bot working on your behalf, or have it multiple arrows in your quiver so you can pull them out as and when you need to. The scalar bot is an interesting one because it does work mainly in sideways markets. But if a breakout happens and it starts to trend up or down, and you've got the re-entry button on, it in fact takes advantage of a trend breakout as well, because it will bank the profit and it will re-enter, bank the profit and re-enter, bank the profit and re-enter, and then at that point you might want to get out. Reversal bot is just what it sounds like. The bot looks for pivots on reversal bars, and I'll talk about that more and show you later. The order flow bot that we have is called auction bot. Most of you probably don't know much about unfinished auctions, but we think we have the only bot in the industry that actually targets unfinished auctions. These are like secret cookies that are waiting to be eaten up by the price action, and particularly in slow sideways markets, can be quite interesting way of scalping money. The breakout bot is quite common or popular, should we say. There are many other people who offer breakout bots. Ours is very simple. You define the time period that you want your support and resistance lines to be drawn, and then at the point at which you take a trade on a breakout, being break up or break down. And it's one of our more profitable strategies based on my experience. The squeeze bot is based on the concept of the squeeze that John Carter made popular years ago. It's the interplay of the Bollinger Bands and the Keltner channels. And basically the bot will automatically take a trade, enter a trade when the squeeze fires, depending on how you've set up your properties. Reversion bot, again, is the behavior is, as you would expect, is reversion to the mean based on VWAP and standard deviations, second or third, or whatever you'd like to set it at. And the ATM bot, I couldn't find a better name for it. I was going to call it scalper bot, um, trend light bot or whatever, but basically it's a trending strategy, but it only uses your ATM, your favorite one, or whichever one you want to be using that day. And we'll go through these with examples. So I'll talk about the trading room, futures trading club, which is our trade room, but these are screenshots from live trading and simulation. The trend bot. Again, I'm showing you examples which always use 5 contracts. These are 5 minis. You can obviously trade 5 micros. You can trade 8 micros. You can trade 3 minis, 1 mini, 16 micros, whatever you want, of course. But when I do the trade room, I use 5 minis for every instrument, every automated strategy. And here's an example where each of the new contracts entered according to crossovers of the moving averages that you've chosen. This was based on the 5 period, 8 period, 13 period, and 21 period Fibonacci type numbers, but you can use 10 versus 20 versus 30, or you use 9 versus 18 versus 34, whatever you want. But this is what a successful trend bot strategy looks like after the fact. Scalar bot, the red background, by the way, is because in this case, the trend background indicator was turned on. If the 3 moving averages are all bearish, then the background goes red. If they're all bullish, it goes green. If 2 are bearish and 1 is bullish, it's yellow. And then if it's 2 bullish, 1 bearish, it's blue, etc. You can change the colors as you wish, but that's just an optional feature that's inside these bots. Anyway, this scalar bot, you can see if you look at where the price is right now, 61.64. If it retraces, it will sell another unit. You'll be long. Short 3. If it retraces again, you'll be short 4. If you retrace further, pull back, you'll be short 5. And then hopefully, if the moving averages are indicative of where price is going, eventually you'll get down to your target here or your new targets, because every time you hit one of these, you'll have a new target as well. Bouncer bot looks very similar to the scalar bot, but it's not based on fixed ticks. It's based on when price hits the moving averages. Again, we have the 8, 21, and 34 as our default, but you can have any moving averages you want, simple or EMA. And here you can see this contract entered because the price hit the 21, the white 21, and made a profit. These are 3-minute candles, I believe, so made a profit like 30 minutes later. This one hit the 34, made a profit 3 minutes later. This one hit the 34, made a profit 3 minutes later. These here hit the 8 EMA yellow line. Took a long time, like an hour and a half or an hour to be, maybe an hour to be profitable, but they were. And then again, stops can be moved manually. You can trade automatically or semi-automatically. Reversal bot was our first bot to introduce using ATMs. So this is where the reversal bot, when it entered after the red arrow, when it entered after the red arrow, it entered using an ATM, and it's already taken off a couple trades, and the trailing stops have kicked in. Now, how does it work? It works on a reversal candle. This is the close above the low of the high, or it can be a close below the low of the high. Basically, the blue candle is a bullish candle, and so it enters at the next trade, which it did. And here, the yellow candle is a reversal candle and enters at the next opening candle after that's closed. Auction bot, again, this is what an auction bot looks like after it's over. But basically, you can see a number of entries that were profitable. And here's an unfinished auction up here. But it will not enter for that unfinished auction because I have the MA filter on. The MA filter is bearish right now, and that would be a bullish entry, so it doesn't take that trade. Breakout bot, quite simple. If you look here, you've got support and resistance. Support here at red, resistance at green. Sorry, I keep hitting it. And the default, but you can change it to anything you want, is that we look at the first 30 minutes opening range, and then I'll show you this live. It'll be more obvious. And then if there's a breakup or breakdown, it enters with 5 contracts, again, how many you want. And then there are 3 ways to create a stops in our breakout bot. You can use an ATM, you can use a trailing stop, or you can use fixed stops and then manually move them as you wish. The squeeze bot shows you the squeeze in a separate panel here. For those of you who know the squeeze, you know that when it's red, a red dot, the squeeze is on, there's price compression. But when you get a green dot, it's when the Bollinger Band has gone outside the Keltner channel. And you're more likely to get 6 or 8 or 9 bars of momentum at that point, sometimes quite significant. And here the squeeze bot didn't take a trade until after the first green dot showed up and was closed. Then it entered, and sure enough, momentum continued to the downside, and the different price profits were locked in. Reversion bot, we have the VWAP down here. We've got the first standard deviation, second and third. I think this was configured to take a trade on the second standard deviation with some fixed profit targets. And then finally, the ATM bot is, like I said, it can only use an ATM. So you get the green and the red showing that the ATM is kicked in. We got it set up as quite a simple bot. In this case, it's when the fast moving average crosses the medium. So 8 versus 21, but you can set it up so the fast crossing the slow or the medium crossing the slow. And again, you can use any peers that you want. But they all have a different behavior pattern, but they have a common look and feel as we've described. So let's try to just give you an example. The breakout bot in a live setting. I say live setting. It is playback, obviously. But if I just show you as I described, in this case, we're using a 1-minute chart, and starting at 9:30, we can see 30M means it's a 30-minute range that it is going to base its performance off of. So it is now calculating the high and the low of the 30 minutes. We're already about halfway to the 30-minute limit. At 30 minutes, which would be 10 o'clock Eastern, the colors will change. You don't have to have them change, but I like to have them change to white, meaning that now it's active and it's looking for a breakout up or down. And so we're now hitting 10 o'clock Eastern, and see the numbers change to white. The lines change to white. And at this point, it doesn't matter whether it's up or down. It's basically an OCO type of. Okay, so now we're long. And again, 5 contracts as an example. Let's take in the first one. It's profitable, and one of the stops is going away. And if it hits the second one, another stop will be taken away. Ooh, just missed, but that's what happens. Nothing is predictable. Looks like it might fail. Up, it turned around again. Second contract was off. Again, these are cherry picked, of course, to give you an example of what the bot looks like when it's working well. There we go. We hit our daily goal. See, the daily goal was 1,500. Hang on. Okay. See, the daily goal was 1,500. The max loss was 750, so it hit 1,500. Let's get back to my presentation here. So that's an example of the breakout bot. Quite simple in its concept. Quite simple to set up and use, but very slightly tricky because you have to decide what kind of trailing stop or ATM you want to use, or manually do a semi-automated trading. Scalar bot, give that example a bit looking live here through playback. Again, I've got this set up at 9:30 Eastern. You get a message that it won't start until the next time filter starts, which should be right now. There, okay. And again, it's slightly sped up, so I didn't want to take too much time to show this to you, but there it's taking a trade on a bullish side. If it retraces, it's going to scale in. It didn't, it just, I've got reentry on. You see the button says RE on, that's reentry on, meaning once you bank the profit, then you re-enter, bank the profit. You can see the profit on the lower left here, 870 so far, but it now will probably retrace back to one of these other two blue lines and enter more, or it will hit its target, the first target, and re-enter. I can't remember its example. Yeah, it hit the first target and re-entered. We haven't hit our 1500 yet. And this time I think it's going to, yes, yeah, it retraced, pullback entry, took the profit. It may do that again. Did it again. So you're kind of scalping $50, $100, depending on how you set it up. And again, if you hit your daily goal, it's great. If you don't, you may not max up. We're close to daily goal here. It says daily goal hit, and it won't be exactly 1500. It'll be slippage. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. Right, so that was that example. I think I'll give you one more without boring you too much, but give you example. The trend bot here, I've got the squeeze filter on. So you'll see because the squeeze filter is on, the squeeze panel shows up here. We've got green dots, so there's no squeeze, so there'll be no entry regardless of moving average crossovers. On the trend bot, it tells you how many of your moving averages that you've asked for are long versus short out of the 5 contracts. Again, we're getting a slightly bullish momentum here, but because there's no squeeze, it won't fire. Now we're getting a red dot, which means there's a squeeze. Another 3-minute squeeze, another 3-minute squeeze. And so when the next one turns green, it will trade according to the moving averages, whether they're crossing up or crossing down. So there we go. Now we're in, and that was too quick to tell you, but basically the profit was made very quickly there. Right. I think the auction bot might be worth showing quickly because it's unusual. I won't show you the bouncer bot to save time, but let's just do the auction bot. I didn't mention it before, but we actually have a footprint chart for auction bot, which you can turn the footprint on or off. When an unfinished auction occurs, there'll be normally a blue line, which shows, sorry, whatever color you've chosen. I think I set it up with a cyan target. When there's an unfinished auction, I've got this set up to scale in at different levels, but if the unfinished auction is finished first, it doesn't kick in. So here there's an unfinished auction. Actually, they're not kicking in because the retracement wasn't big enough to justify entering. Let's see, there we go. See, there's the thick cyan line. So we're getting close to our maximum goal here. Okay, we reached our maximum goal with a little $10 of slippage. We might as well do the last one since I've got it here. Bouncer bot. Again, 9:30 entry. I've got the re-entry on the way I did with scalar bots, so it banks its profit and re-enters in the direction of the trend. And in this case, because the moving averages are quite far away, the stop happens to be quite tight, and so it actually made a loss there. I'm willing to show you a loss. And now we get another gain. It bounced off the 8. Again, we could make the stop wider and have it bounce off the 21 and the 34, but this is the default stop that I use. So we're at we've had a profitable trade, a green trade profitable, green trade profitable, red negative, green positive, red negative, green positive. So again, not every trade's going to be profitable, but with the right settings, you can normally count on a decent performance. Obviously, not every bot makes money every day. So those of you who have never used automated strategies have to realize that this is not a set and forget. Everything is going to you can't golf every day just because it's going to make money every day. Anyway, we made our daily goal. This daily goal was higher, it was 1750. Okay, so those were the live demos, shall we say? I say live in the sense of playback. Finally, I want to just get across one point, which was in the blurb at the beginning of the landing page for this seminar, this webinar, is if you've got multiple automated strategies, such as using some of the ones from our stable of 9 strategies, you can be diversified in a small way or a great way. For example, a lot of people trade one bot with one instrument, which can work fine if you have a favorite bot, favorite instrument, but you get no diversification. Whereas you can also use one bot across multiple instruments. I trade in the trade room 5 instruments: ES, NQ, RTY, GC, and CL. So you get instrument diversification that way. But you also could trade multiple bots times one instrument and get bot diversification as opposed to instrument. Or the best and the most diversification can be achieved by trading multiple bots against multiple instruments. And they look slightly different. Those of you who know workspaces and know windows and know charts know you can set these up in different ways. So here's an example. Of course, one bot, one instrument, quite simple. You got your one tab, your one bot. In this case, what have I got? NQ with TrendBot. So the next thing we could do is you could have, here's breakout bot on 5 instruments. So if you look at the tabs, you got breakout on the ES, breakout on NQ, breakout RTY, breakout GC, breakout CL. So you're just using one bot. You only have to license one bot from us, but you can use it across multiple instruments. Our bots work on any instrument that NinjaTrader supports, or the brokerage account supports, whatever. And then you got the third option, which is multiple bots on one instrument. This is a bit tricky because we don't allow multiple bots on the same instrument in the same account, because otherwise you might, the trend bot might say go long and auction bot may say go short, and they would counter each other and be a problem. So you would only use multiple bots on one instrument if you use different accounts, like prop firm accounts or whatever. So here again, you've got TrendBot on RTY, ScalarBot RTY, ATM bot RTY, breakout bot RTY. And the final combination is the multiple bots, multiple instruments. So if you look down the tabs here, ScalarBot on ES, BouncerBot on NQ. Sorry, let me go. The TrendBot working on RTY, AuctionBot working on GC, ReversalBot working on CL. So you find your best bot instrument combinations and you put them into one account and you get maximum diversification. And something I suggest that you try if you've never tried it before. The guy who won was at the World Futures Trading Contest more times than anyone else uses that strategy. He has multiple bots on multiple instruments. So just to do some housekeeping here, you could get into becoming a customer of ours for as little as $295. That buys you a 1-month lease for one bot. And likewise, if you want to lower your monthly cost, you could opt for a 3-month lease, or even lower, a 6-month lease or a 12-month lease. And finally, the cheapest, if you're planning on using more than a year or two, a lifetime license of $24.95. All these options include license for 2 CPUs, free technical support, and free upgrades and free updates. We have multiple bot volume discounts, but rather than confuse you with lots of numbers today, just email me if you're interested in that. The onboarding process is quite straightforward. You purchase from the website, sign up as a member, you get the software and user manual by email, you submit your machine ID in the members area of our website, and you start trading automatically or semi-automatically. I said I was going to talk about the Futures Trading Club. We used to charge for this, but now we've made it free. And it's different from most trade rooms, and it's a silent trade room. There's no banter, there's no buy now, sell now. I'm going long, I'm going short. My stop is this, my target is this. It's basically running 9 strategies on 5 instruments automatically. So we're talking about 45 charts. Now, of course, I don't show all 45. That would be too much or too small for the real estate on the screen. But I toggle between the different bots, show you live in sim profitability using, again, my typical 5 contract mini contract. And it starts at 9:15 as a small 5-minute PowerPoint presentation. And then at 9:30, it kicks off automatically. With one exception, I have the auction bot working in pre-market because it doesn't work as well in at the open. The meeting ID is there. You can write it down, or you can look at this presentation in the future, but that is with the passcode FTC for Futures Trading Club. That is basically your free entry. It's easier than probably hitting the link, but again, the link is tied to that. So, but if you're a Zoom user, you can just just say join a Zoom meeting and put in that meeting ID and that passcode. And then you can watch the bots trade. And, they look like this when there's been a successful trade. And in between scrolling around, I normally have a 2x2 matrix, so you can see how the bots have done in that way. So that concludes my presentation. I will take Q&A in a minute, but I wanted to offer to those of you who are attending today, the first time ever we've offered this, and it's only good till Sunday night. But if you license one of our bots, we will give you 4 more lifetime licenses. In addition, we will let you choose which 5 you want, and we'll let you choose if you get tired of one or get bored with one or don't like one or you don't find it suits your style, you can swap them as well. And we may have 10, 11, 12 bots in the future. I can't promise, but we have 9 now, so you could get 5 to get started, and you could swap. And you could swap left and right, forward and backwards. You could add one, drop one, and then go back to the one you dropped if you decide to, forever. You just have to email me at my email address there with the subject so I can focus on it. A perfect subject title, Amazing NT Webinar Purchase Offer. That's only good for the next 3 days, so please take advantage of it. Some people who have not watched this live, but will come across it in the archives, and when they do, they can email me for the NT webinar lease offer. This is where we're offering, instead of just buying one lease 1 month for $295, you can either pay the $295 and get 3 months instead of 1 month, so kind of a 3-for-1 deal. Or you can decide that you want to use 3 bots for 1 month. I'm flexible on that. Just email me again with the subject to show that you've come across this offer on the NinjaTrader ecosystem. And then we have a more general offer. We have not published it, but if you use the promo code DYOLF, capitals, and you're a new customer, you can get a 50% discount on a lifetime license or 50% discount on a 12-month lease or a 1-month lease. And that you can do just off our website using a credit card. Okay, someone asks, how can we set up all of those options in the platform? Not sure what you mean by all those options, but if you mean all the different settings in Ninja. So basically, if you're a NinjaTrader user and you're familiar with automated strategies, it's pretty simple. You go to strategies, properties, and you set up your different options for your settings, like your time filters, your account daily goal, whatever. If you don't mean that, I'm not sure what the question is, but can we use these bots to trade prop firm accounts? Yes, of course. Depending on your size of your account, let's say if you're using 25K or 50K accounts, you might want to use micros instead of minis. If you're in the 100K and 150, 200K level, you might want to use 2 or 3 minis. If you're in the 250, 300, you might want to use 5 minis, etc. So it's partly based on the size. It also depends on your prop firm. Apex, for example, years ago, you didn't allow scaling in. Well, then you can't use ScalarBot. Then they said, oh, yeah, you can scale in once. Well, then you can use ScalarBot, but you can only limit it to 2 contracts. I don't know what their rules are these days. The different prop firms have different rules. One of them used to have you can't trade ES long and NQ short at the same time. Well, then you've got to, use our bots, but you've got to be careful that you're not using different bots. I mean, there are things where I can't give you a blanket here, but of course you could use it with prop firms accounts. And in the daily goal is something like a 50K account, you might want your daily goal to be just $500, and your max loss maybe 250. If you're trading a live account and you've got a sizable margin account, you could be trading multiple bots, multiple instruments. Next question. Again, if I didn't answer it right, you can reconfigure your question. Let me scroll down here, sorry. All right, let me blow this up here so I can see better. Do they need optimization? It would be good to be able to watch this in action. Yeah, it would be good to be able to watch this in action for a few days. Well, then join the Zoom meeting every day, 9:15 Eastern, for an hour and 3/4, or an hour and a half of trading, and watch it. Do they need optimization? Well, for sure, you want to be mindful of your settings, and the better your settings, the better your results. But that can change over month to month. So you do need to react to when bots are doing well and react to when bots are not doing well, and we do have default settings, which should be helpful, but we also that doesn't mean the default settings are good for everybody, because again, there's only one default setting we can ship out of the factory, out of the box. Again, via email and mainly based on email, I can give you my latest settings that work for me or have worked recently in the past. But not, as I said, not every bot makes a profit every day. So if you try a bot and a couple days later you don't get results, you need to start tweaking. You can't necessarily give up after 3 days because you have 3 losses in a row. Besides time filter or any other settings we need to set or play around to get best, well, yes. Account goal, strategy max loss, account max loss. I've been using the trade profit protection recently with good effect. I've got it set in the trade room. If it hits $1,000 as a high water mark, don't let it slip more than 15%. And I've got a number of $800, $900 profit levels that where I didn't see it happen, but it took the profit as an example. Okay, let's see. I think we're at the end of the questions that have been in the chat room. And I think we're getting, we've only got about 5 or 10 minutes left anyway. So, any more questions? Can you send the second last slide? Yeah, hang on, sure. I'll also put in the chat my email address because I said everything should come to me. The best way for me to handle. I'm not very good with landing pages and things like that. So that's my email address. And in terms of the last slide, the Zoom slide maybe for the trade room, we've got this one here. So that key thing is you just go to, if you have Zoom, the free app for Zoom, you just say join a Zoom meeting and you type in those numbers and you type in that password. I wouldn't bother trying to click on that link or type it in. And then in terms of the offers, again, my email address, and those are the three: the big offer, the amazing offer at the top, the good offer, 3 for 1 in the middle, and then the 50% for new users.